Tonight, we will achieve what no one has even attempted. We will summon and imprison death.
What's up, Geek Tweak? I am Felicia Day, and I am so excited to be here for this very special Geek Tweak panel where we will finally answer the long-awaited question, when is The Sandman coming to Netflix?
Hey. Whoa.
Together!
Death has family, desire, destiny, despair.
We have some awesome surprises in store for you, but first, I couldn't do this panel without the three people I'm about to introduce. Alan Heinberg, showrunner for The Sandman, and the man we have to thank for finally bringing this incredible world to life. Tom Sturridge, who plays the enigmatic Endless Dream, and Neil Gaiman, the brilliant mind behind the comic. Hi, Neil.
Hi.
The first issues of Sandman came out over 3 decades ago, and they have had such an impact on pop culture. What do you think continues to be so resonant about the story, Neil?
I think the story works because, you know, young Neil Gaiman had some kind of idea of what he was doing and was desperate to tell a story that would last, and also was desperate to tell a story that would keep being printed in a comic month to month, because he wanted to do this more than anything in the world. And so it had everything that I loved and cared about, and it was willing not to be the same thing. And I think that weirdness, the fact that Sandman isn't just one thing, but it grows, it changes. If you like one bit of Sandman, you may or may not like the next bit, but you'll love the bit after that, actually is responsible for why 3 decades later, it still has life. People still care about the story.
Alan, how did you approach adapting this comic to the TV series? Because it's a beast of so many different things.
I approached it primarily as a fan. I fell in love with it when I was in college. I was buying it monthly in comic book stores. So I steeped myself in the comics again. I read all of Neil's original scripts. And then I got to work very, very, very closely with Neil, bringing it to life. So, but primarily as somebody who loved it and was desperate to see a version of it. Yeah, primarily as a fan.
Tom,
Hi.
you are incredible too. Hey, what's up?
What's up?
What are the Endless, and how do they fit into the story of The Sandman?
Wow, what are the Endless? The Endless are a mysterious collection of beings, 7 siblings. They're children of the cosmic entities night and time. They're the anthropomorphic embodiment of certain forces, powerful human forces. In order of age, there's destiny, death, dream, destruction, desire, despair, and delirium. And what's amazing about them, and what I love about them, is that despite this kind of extraordinary, fantastical description, they are like a normal family in that they're riddled with dysfunction. And it's that dysfunction which propels our story and our narrative, and that's how they're a part of it.
You know, when I first came to America, people would say to me, you know, we love Sandman, and we love that you've made this dysfunctional family. And I'd never heard the term before. So I was like, what is a dysfunctional family? And they would explain, and eventually I went, oh, that's what in England we call a family.
Exactly.
Which one have I got?
Dream. You're gonna need all the help you can get.
That perfectly sets us up to introduce our next round of guests. Vivienne Achampong, who plays Lucienne the Librarian. Jenna Coleman, who plays demon-hunting Joanna Constantine. Wonesu Samonyai, who plays Rose Walker. And Boyd Holbrook, who plays the Corinthian. Thank you so much for being here, so many of you. Dream goes on a journey through many different stories this season. There is this huge cast, as we can see. Have you all been together like this all at once before?
No. No. We've just met.
That's
This is it.
incredible.
We're witnessing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the story is so varied and it goes so many places with so many actors. It's kind of funny to think you're such important characters and you've never met. That's blows my mind. This cast, Alan, is just truly incredible. Can you talk about finding the right performers for these roles?
We had the most extraordinary casting directors, Lucinda Sison and Natasha Vincent, and Melee Nagler at Warner Brothers, who's in charge of casting there. And their tastes and their instincts were incredible, but mostly I think Neil did the work for us. Once word got out that, you know, The Sandman, this Neil Gaiman property that's been out for as long as it has and has as many fans as it has, once word got out, we had people coming to us saying, may I be in The Sandman? A lot of times we would start talking about, you know, who do we see in this role? And we got very lucky in that we were talking about Jenna from the very, very beginning, because Neil and I are huge Jenna Coleman fans. And we got very lucky that the pandemic, you know, allowed her the space in her diary to join us. So it happened a lot of different ways, but we got very lucky.
Vivian, Lucien is such a pivotal character for Dream. Can you talk about developing that dynamic with Tom?
When I met Tom, he's so lovely and warm and open. And then he just completely transforms into Morpheus and is incredible. And you can just tell that he really knows this character because he has just embodied him so beautifully. And it just made my job as an actor really easy. He's a dream, no pun intended. But literally, as an actor, a dream to work with because he just gives you so much. He's so generous. So it was a pretty easy thing for me to do with him.
Boyd, the Corinthian is a fan favorite from the comics. Let's talk about those eyes and how you approach bringing the Corinthian to life. Who is he and what is his role in the show?
Yeah, the Corinthian is basically the metamorphosis or your worst nightmare in the matrix of the dreaming, created by Morpheus. When I first heard about this and talking to my friends about it, they were like, oh, you're gonna play the Corinthian. And it seemed like a larger than life, really outrageous character. But the more I talked about it with Alan and Neil, it seemed like it was a person that you would welcome into your home. The sort of kindness and the ease that he would put you in. It was more Hannibal than like a flamboyant Joker character. And it was just very hard to calibrate being, you know, under these glasses. And just how to, a lot of acting is done with your eyes, so that for me was something to adjust to.
Yeah, well, there's a folksy, quiet menace to you that is very, people are going to be very excited to see.
Take that as a compliment.
It is. I'm from Alabama. I know folksy menace. Jenna, you are no stranger to epic franchises. What appealed to you about the role of Joanna Constantine?
Just from the first reading of the script, it was the character just was so fleshed out. The voice, everything kind of came to me straight away. Like the idea of her being this, you know, this lone kind of ranger in the world with this tough exterior and her cynicism and kind of wryness and wit to kind of not let anybody close. Yeah, quite a tortured soul, like with a big, compassionate heart hidden somewhere underneath.
Yeah. And an amazing trench coat.
And a great trench coat. That was the main reason, obviously.
That's a good outfit. But I do have a treat for you. In our first exclusive Geek Week reveal, we can share the brand new character posters for Joanna Constantine, the Corinthian, and some exclusive Sandman posters. Let us take a look.
Hey.
Ooh.
Gorgeous.
I love it.
Oh,
What happened?
Oh, the
I
eyes.
love that. God, that looks incredible.
Beautiful.
It's the hell.
Run out of noises. Yeah, and the trench coat. How is it seeing that? Is that kind of cool to see it in real life?
I'm very happy we've got the crucifix in.
Yeah. Well, you're really rocking the trench coat. There are going to be a lot of cosplay, for sure. For those of you at home who want a closer look, you can check out these posters over on the Sandman Official on Instagram, and of course, at Netflix Geeked. Vanessa, this is your first series role as Rose Walker, and she's such a pivotal character in The Sandman. Can you tease a little bit of your story and what it was like to work with Tom?
So Rose Walker is a regular 21-year-old who has lost her parents, and she's just alone in the world, and she wants to find her brother Jed. She wants a sense of normalcy back in her life. Along the way, she meets Morpheus, and they work on trying to get that going. And Tom is great, really great to work with. And what was really nice was how we played with Morpheus and like the relationship between them, the dynamic, and the change that Dream had over their interaction.
You guys have an incredible effect on each other, and it just blows my mind that this is your first role. It's a big set to step into. How was that for you?
It was great. This is a great, series to have as my first series role. Nerve-wracking in the beginning, and then I eased into it. The script was really, in the beginning, even when I was auditioning, it was something that it made it really easy to play because the script just like laid it out so well.
Yeah. Neil, how was it seeing all these actors bring your characters to life?
Wonderful in all sorts of different ways. Sometimes it will be wonderful because it was exactly the thing that I've always had in my head. Tom is Morpheus. Once you see him on the screen, you go, oh yeah, that's the guy in the comics. That's what he apparently sounds like, and that's how he moves, because we haven't really seen him move. Sometimes it's deeper or weirder or just different, but it's always deeper or weirder or different in ways that make it more interesting, not less. Having Viv, taking the character that Joe Orlando had created in the comics a long time ago and going, is there any reason at all that Lucien can't look like that but have pointy ears? And going, none that we can think of. Great. And it suddenly allows a level of honesty that we didn't have with these characters. Lucien, she can get meaner. Or having Joanna Constantine, watching what Jenna brought, this glorious, heartbroken, wounded, bitter sass to it. It was like, oh, that's exactly what I was trying to get into, into the original comic with John, only it's that, but more so.
Yeah. So we have some fan questions for all of you. Alan, Noxie on Twitter asks, what's it been to bring something that's so beloved onto the screen? And what do you think viewers should expect, new and old fans of The Sandman, from the show?
We wanted to give longtime fans everything that they loved about Sandman, reading Sandman, and then more things that they, stuff that happens off panel, in the comic, just a deeper dive into these characters' lives and their feelings and their souls. A lot of our cast were new to The Sandman too, so we couldn't just operate within a fan bubble. We really needed to be able to tell the story for people who've never read Sandman before. And it was a pleasure to introduce people to this world and these characters for the first time. So you really don't need to have ever read the comics. But if you see the series and you enjoy it, we hope you'll run out and start reading, because there's a lot to enjoy.
I read them in college, and I remember having a huge crush on Dream, and then watching the episodes. I forgot most of it, but I'm like, oh yeah, there's gonna be a lot of crushes on Dream. Sorry, Tom. Hey, Tom, Mel on Twitter asks, OMG, are we gonna see Dream's cool outfits? Question mark, question mark.
OMG, are we going to see Dream's cool outfits?
Yeah.
OMG, yeah.
But OMG, you'll see him without any outfit.
One of Dream's outfits is what he doesn't wear in episode 1.
Exactly right.
But Sarah Arthur, our costume designer, was extraordinary and
very collaborative. Tom is very involved.
She is. Well, what's exciting about Dream is within our story, he enters so many different worlds, and it was so important for him to carry the authority that he has within these worlds. Who is Dream in hell? Like, who is he in contemporary London? Who is he in his own throne room? And it was such an enormous act of imagination on her part and on all of our collaborators in trying to answer those questions, which are not questions that you get to do very often in a job like this. Like, normally it's like, which are the coolest jeans? And yeah, it was magic. So OMG,
Well, there's going to be a
That's good.
resurgence in crushed velvet outfits. I'll tell you that. That's very cool. Jenna, Juliana, aka Coleman's Dimple on Instagram asks, what can we expect from this new version of Joanna Constantine?
This new version of Joanna Constantine, I guess, if you would agree, like an upgrade. She's been upgraded in her
clientele, definitely.
Her clientele, yeah.
She's a bit posh.
Yeah.
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 She operates in a world that's sort of at a higher level. I mean, the Queen and the royal family are clients.
Oh.
So you can't really get any higher than that. Is
Or
that a
lower.
spoiler? Sorry?
Or lower.
Oh, yes, exactly. Sorry.
They'll cut that.
Yeah.
Also, did you know that your dimple had an Instagram handle?
No, I did not.
You guys should get together sometime. Swirly on Twitter asked Vivian, what is it like being literally the best character?
Oh, wow.
That's biased.
The best? I don't know. Like, you know, I mean, all the characters are the best, really. So they're being very kind. Thank you.
You're a fan favorite. Tom, Cat Lady Bean on Twitter asked, is Dream's helm an actual prop? And if so, how did you make it?
Well, firstly, I made it.
From the bones of a dead god.
From the bones of a dead god. It is a real prop. And as Neil said, the most important thing, again, it was an act of imagination trying to create it. There are so many different images of it within the kind of the history of the comics. But in Overture, the source of it is revealed, which is a battle that Dream has with a deposed god who has imprisoned him in the dreaming with his love, Alienora, and he constructs a helmet out of the god's skull and spine, so he never forgets the defeat that he had when he was imprisoned. And what's important was that the helm had that organic quality of a skull and a spine, and wasn't this kind of what it can sometimes be perceived as a sort of space helmet.
Well, we can actually inspect whether it looks organic or not because we have the real helm here. Helm girl, here it is. Wow, thank you. Does that look like an organic spine of a dead god?
Yeah, I think it
It's
does.
very bony.
I'd say 9 out of 10. Maybe 10 out of 10. Wonderful. It's just going to sit here watching us for the rest of this. It's going to be great. Boyd, Stephen Rosario DZ on Instagram asks, is there a serial killer convention coming soon?
To a town near you.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be a full-on national tour.
Oh, great. That's frightening. Wanesu Caravan City on Twitter asks, what scene was the most difficult?
It was in, I think, episode 8, where I went into Hal's dream and I had to react to what I was seeing on stage because we hadn't put the effects in yet and he hadn't got a mask on yet. It was kind of hard to try and imagine what it looked like and how terrifying it was. So my reaction was a bit smaller than it probably would have if I saw that in real life.
Neil, I am sad __ch on Instagram. Great handle. How did Neil Gaiman manage to make this story so grand and intimate at the same time? Grand and intimate, Neil.
I think it gets to be grand mostly because at the end of the day, it's 3,000 pages long. So at that length, you've become an epic, whether that was where you started out or not. But also, I think one of the things that I wanted to try and do when I was writing it was to tackle enormous beings, enormous ideas, and enormous time spans. But the only way that you can make anybody care about any of that stuff is by actually looking at human beings and what happens to them and people's hearts and people's minds and what happens to those. You know, Tom's huge story as Morpheus would be so much less interesting without a Rose Walker, without a Joanna Constantine. You need what happens to them. And their influence on him is actually what drives season 1. It's all about change, and it's all about beings who are bigger and greater than gods and what they're going to become.
This is a big reveal. Alan, Amanda Pike on Twitter asks, who is voicing Merv?
That is a big reveal. And I'm going to tell you, we were thrilled to be able to ask and get Mark Hamill to be the voice of Merv Pumpkinhead. And he's fantastic in it. And he was such a pleasure to work with. Neil and I had a day with him on Zoom, and he could not have been sweeter. Can I try this? Can I try that? What do you need? Let me do it again. I didn't like that one. It just made me a new kind of fan of his. I loved him.
And his Merv is hilarious. That's the other thing I think that needs saying. Merv was always in the comics on the one hand, a kind of comic relief, but on the other hand, also the voice of sanity, the voice of just going, this is actually kind of nuts. He gets to be that person, especially when arguing with Patton Oswalt's Matthew. So much fun.
Fans are going to go crazy. Now it's time to answer the fan question we've gotten more than any other. When are we finally going to see the Sandman debut on Netflix? Alan, I'm going to ask you to do the honors as well.
All right, I have brought something special that I think can show it, if you don't mind. If we can just
take over the stage.
All right, let's roll the tape, as they say.
I am the King of Dreams, ruler of the Nightmare Realm.
What are you doing here, Etty?
He's coming, isn't he? You. Morpheus, the Oneiromancer. You know the Sandman.
He's a fairy story, Etty.
He's no fairy story. He's back.
Good to know.
What's he got in his hands? Open your hands, now!
Forgive me, sire, the palace, the realm. They are not as you left them. With you gone, the realm began to decay and crumble.
The dreams and nightmares no longer seem to recognize their monster. You will remind them. He's free. He's out of his cage.
Wow.
That looks so good. Did you have any reactions? That was amazing, right?
It seems so cliche, but epic. Yeah.
It's really epic.
The dreaming looks amazing.
Alan, it must be so long coming to this point. How do you feel?
I cannot wait for fans and for new fans, people who've never heard of Sandman before, to watch these incredible actors tell this man's incredible story. I could not be more excited to share it with everybody and have everybody finally see it and fall in love the way I've fallen in love. So,
Yeah. Neil, what do you think fans are going to think?
I think fans are going to be incredibly excited because this is Sandman. It's taken us 34 years to get Sandman on screen. I have killed off so many bad Sandmans on the way. The bodies of so many dead Sandman movies have been buried. To do it right and to get to the point where now Netflix would have the confidence in us and assemble amazing actors, amazing people to do it. And it's Sandman. And that's what I think people are going to be responding to. The thing they love, it's on the screen.
Yeah. Well, as a fan, you definitely did it right. I could keep talking to all of you all day, but unfortunately that is all the time we have for today's special Geek Week panel for The Sandman. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us at Geek Week this year. Unfortunately, we don't have to wait much longer until The Sandman hits Netflix. We finally can announce that it will be coming to a streaming device near you on August 5th. So we will be back with this fabulous crew for a special episode of The Sandman Unlocked, where we will go into all full spoilery details. For now, I'm Felicia Day, and be sure to keep watching Geeked Week all week long for more exciting reveals. Bye!